What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Steelers Rewind here on Headline by. I'm walking over to practice right now. Let's kind of talk about pre-practice availability, what I learned there. Mike T will talk after practice. We'll cover what he said on the live podcast today. Make sure to tune in. We'll be going live around 4:45, 5 o'clock, somewhere around there. So make sure to check that out when we do go live. And so the Steelers today trotted out Aaron Rodgers. Lincoln Park was here. It's like a fun little day here before their last preseason game. Short week, so a lot of different things. Gareth Warren, for example, was waived/injured with a head injury he suffered against Buccaneers. Kenny Willekes, a really good UFL edge rusher, if you remember him from his days at Michigan State, two-time All-Big Ten selection. He's coming in here with no Herbig likely to play with that hammy. Certainly something I believe the Steelers are looking at to limit those guys and their snaps. Talk to Eku Leota, who I think has been someone we haven't talked enough about. I shouted him out a little bit on the game recap, and I do think he's a guy that has really ascended. He's got good burst. He's got really powerful hands, and he knows how to utilize that. He's got a great cross chop. He's got a great rip and dip. He's got a nice long arm. There's a lot of moves he has in his arsenal, and a lot of that, he says, has kind of come about from Watt and Highsmith and Herbig. With Carolina, he had these gifts, but just didn't put stuff together completely. Now he feels like things are popping off. And while he's probably not going to make this team because Steelers have 4 edge rushers that they like, he's a practice squad lock, or maybe even just got himself onto another roster. Someone to watch, though. I thought it was really good in the game Saturday, and I think continues to show out and show what he can do. Aaron Rodgers talked today as well, as I mentioned. Not too much earth-shattering, but I thought one thing was really clear, and it was his quote about Roman Wilson. You know, we talk about Roman Wilson as this mystifying force, almost this question, and what is he? What is Roman Wilson? And we have seen a lot of production. We've seen a lot of flashes from him. We've seen a lot of positive things from Roman Wilson throughout his time at training camp, and then in these 2 preseason games. He's had a great preseason so far. And Aaron Rodgers said, hey, he's doing well, but I believe he can be a special talent. I'm not going to take it off the gas. And I think this is kind of a smart thing to do. If you're Aaron Rodgers, it's like, I'm pouring something into this guy because I see potential. I see something that he can be. I think he can be something so much better than he just is right now. And so that tells me, man, Rodgers pours energy into people he thinks can be good. He pours his energy into worthwhile projects he looks at. And it certainly seems like he thinks Roman Wilson is a very worthwhile player to pour a lot of his time into. He's doing the same with Will Howard, for example. He only does this when he views it as a worthwhile extension. And so I really think it says a lot about Roman Wilson. I think the Steelers really like Roman Wilson, but I think that's a positive for him. And then I also was able to talk with Darnell Washington just about kind of getting this tight end room up to snuff. Jonnu's been banged up with that knee issue. He hasn't played in the preseason. I don't even think Jonnu or Muth are necessarily going to play. They may, but they don't really need to. And Darnell said, you know, the one thing he wants to focus on, especially with all these guys out here, is just details. Because it's going to be so much 12, 13, you know, even the 04 and 14 personnel stuff. There's going to be so much of that the details, timing on zone runs, are really important. So everything about this kind of circles around details. And so the Steelers are going to work at that. And, you know, when we talk about Thursday, the one really big thing I'm still looking at is this corner room. Guys like Beanie Bishop, James Pierre, can Adante Kenner, or Corey Trice get in there? I think it's really important to see if those guys can kind of get in there. All right, folks, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell for more. I will be back on the podcast with John later today.